Stamp Studio. My name is Gina, also known as Lisa's daughter, and you're probably asking yourself, Gina, where is your mom tonight? And that is a great question. Unfortunately, my mom has fallen ill with COVID, but to top all that off, she also completely lost her voice. So it's just you and I tonight for my very first solo YouTube premiere. And I'm super excited for tonight's rotating twisted easel fun fold card. It is perfect for fall or Christmas, but we also have 6 total samples. And what's even better is all those 6 samples will be available in tonight's downloadable project sheet. This not only has full color photos, cutting dimensions, and a supply list for all 6 of those cards, but it's free, and it makes recreating these projects so much easier from the comforts of your home. A few things I want to touch on before we get into tonight's live. I am going to be using brand new product from Stampin' Up. It's a part of their Perfect Partners promotion. It begins on September 1st and it runs through September 30th. You're going to see that I'm going to be using one of my favorite new stamp sets from Stampin' Up, but they came out with matching dies to make it even better. There are 6 total sets that come with these bundled dies, and you can save 10% on them. Besides that, the other great thing that we have going on here at the studio is our online stamping retreat for the fall is fast approaching. That date is Saturday, September 24th in the US and Sunday, September 25th in Australia. We are partnering with our great friends Kylie and Bruno Bertucci, who are amazing Australian demonstrators. We had an incredible time during the spring retreat, and if I do say so myself, it was pretty great. So if you're a part of the spring retreat, leave us a comment down below vouching for how great it was. And if I do say so myself, the projects for our fall retreat are even better than our projects from the spring retreat. Registration opens this Thursday, September 1st, and you're gonna wanna make sure that you go ahead and register early for $45. I think that covers everything for now. Let's head down to the stamp stable and get started. I did tell you that tonight I'm going to be using a Yeti to party, and if you know me, you know that I absolutely love whimsical stamps. I mean, look how cute that Yeti is. What makes this stamp set even better now is with Stampin' Up's Perfect Partners promotion beginning on September 1st, and now my favorite stamp set has coordinating dies. If you do know me as well, you know I do love to fussy cut, but when coordinating dies go with absolutely everything you see in the stamp set, what is not to love? Not only does this stamp set have coordinating dies now, but so does 5 other great products from Stampin' Up, so you're gonna wanna check that out. Tonight I am going to be using soft seafoam for my card base. It is measured 4 1/4 by 8 1/2, and you're going to absolutely love this fun fold because it only has 2 scoring instructions, and then we're ready to go. I am going to be using Stampin' Up's paper trimmer. I absolutely love this paper trimmer because it has an appendable arm that goes all the way out to 17 inches, perfect for you scrapbookers. It additionally has a see-through arm that lifts up with measurements all the way down, including the top and the bottom. And to make it even better, it has 2 blades on the same track, a cutting blade and a scoring blade. I've tried a lot of different trimmers on the market in my 24 years, and I must say this is my absolute favorite. So as I said, we only have 2 scoring steps for this card. We're gonna lay it on the 8 1/2 side and go all the way to 4 1/4. Once we measure that up, we're gonna drop our blade and run our scoring blade through it a few times. Now the last step is to score on the diagonal. And if you're anything like me, scoring on diagonal or cutting on diagonally is very intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. Let me show you a trick with this trimmer. What I'm going to be doing is lining up the corner from where I just scored. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing in my pencil so you can see where that begins. It's right there. Okay, and all I'm going to do is now line up in the track to the tip of the bottom right-hand side. So now, when I drop my arm, you can see that it's perfect in the scoring direction. I'm gonna run my blade through that a few times, and it looks just like that. Setting my paper trimmer aside, I am now going to bring in my bone folder. I love the bone folder. It's probably one of my favorite crafting tools because it gives cards a nice crisp crease. And you're definitely going to need that for this one. Then what you're going to do is going to fold that diagonally in, and I'm just going to crease that right up with my bone folder because I want it to be nice and crisp. And it's going to look a little bit like this. Now, let's get to decorating because that's where the real fun comes in. With Yeti to Party, not only do you get this awesome Yeti, you also get all these really cute add-ons like the mountains and the trees and the presents. And we're going to be using quite a lot of these. So let me go ahead and show you what I've done already. I've gone ahead to stamp, color, and die cut a few fun pieces. But I want to make sure that this mountain has a little oomph to it. And that's where I'm gonna bring in Stampin' Up's new pearlized enamel effects. You get the black, red, and white in this combo pack. And tonight I'm going to be using the white. What you're gonna wanna do is kind of shake it up a little bit and get it started on your scratch paper. Once you do that, all you're gonna do is gently squeeze and start to add the effect where you like it. For me, I'm gonna add it to the snow caps because I think it's gonna look really pretty. And then you're gonna want to allow that to dry. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to fully dry. But if you do it at the beginning of your project, it's no time wasted. When it's done drying, it looks just like that. It feels really cool to the touch, and it has such a pretty design when it's finished. Next up, I'm gonna need my Yeti, so I'm gonna bring him in. I've already adhered him to a clear block, and what's great about photopolymer is I can see right through it. I'm going to grab my Memento ink. With images this large, I really like to ink my stamps face up. It just makes it a lot easier. And I can see where I've hit and where I've missed. Now all I'm going to do is firm even pressure. Yetis are white, but I love to give them definition. I'm going to be using the light gray granite Stampin' Blends. These are alcohol blends, markers from Stampin' Up. They come in a combo pack, a light and a dark. They do have dual end tips, notated here by the illustrations. They have a brush tip and they have a pen tip. Today I'm going to be using the brush tip, and to give definition to white, what I like to do is just to come in and kind of trace the outline that is already there. Not only does this give your Yeti definition, but it also helps differentiate white on white, which is what we're gonna be doing because we're gonna be putting our Yeti in his proper snowy climate. Now, when you're all done coloring him, he should look a little bit like this. I even added one of the scarves from the die sets, and it's just looking so cute. And before I move too far, I did want to show off those Stampin' Blends a little bit better. So I've added a present from that same stamp set. I'm going to ink that up using my Memento ink and just firm even pressure right about here. I'm going to show off the power of these Stampin' Blends using fresh fuchsia. I like to use the light blend first, but it really doesn't matter which way you do this. What does matter is to not scribble. You're not going to want to scribble back and forth like you would a crayon or a color pencil. You're going to want to brush stroke it up and down, left to right in the same direction. I put my light down. Now I'm going in with my dark fresh fuchsia. And all I'm gonna do now is do kind of what I did with the Yeti. I'm gonna follow that outside line, giving it some definition and adding a shadow. Now, that has to kind of dry for a few seconds. It is alcohol based, so we need that to evaporate. When that few seconds have passed, you're then gonna switch back to your light blend and start pulling in the light to the dark. And once this processes, you're going to be able to see these colors form into each other. And when that is done, and you make your assembly, you're gonna have something a little bit like this. So all I've done was stamp a bunch of these presents, die cut them, and then assemble them and glue them together. Now that we have all these fun pieces colored and die cut, prepped and ready to go, let's finish the front of this card. Tonight I am using the Snowflake Specialty Vellum, which is just beautiful. I feel like the camera doesn't quite do it justice, but it is so shiny. Not only do you get the snowfall vellum background, you also get the snowflake vellum background, and look how fun that is for Christmas. What else you get in this vellum packet is the same designs, but in a fun velvet background. So this is so soft to the touch. It is absolutely gorgeous, and you get all 4 of these different designs, 2 of each, inside the 12 by 12 pack. I went ahead and cut that 4x4, and I also cut a piece of basic white 4x4. And all I'm going to do is layer these together with some adhesive. People often ask us, Gina, I know you like using the Stamp and Seal Plus, but I have a hard time getting it started. The trick is to get it started on your silicone mat. So all I did was got it started there by pulling it a little bit, and then I gently pull it up, and it comes out perfect almost every time. Now with vellum, what you're gonna wanna do is concentrate your adhesive in the 4 corners. This is gonna help eliminate it showing through. And all I'm gonna do now is even this up on the basic white piece. And it looks a little bit like this once you've tacked it down. Next, you are going to want 2 strips of basic white measuring 4 inches across. The height really doesn't matter here because what we're going to do is create snowbanks. So once you have your width correct for your card, the height doesn't matter because we're going to start tearing. I'm going to rotate it to its side, and I'm going to start gently tearing from one corner to the other. And if you see snowbanks like I see snowbanks, they aren't perfectly straight across. So I like to give it some dimension. And I've done that just there. The nice frayed edges look so cool in person. Now that we have that snowbank, I went ahead already and tore a second snowbank. And I'm going to be adhering these together so it gives it some dimension just like this. And I'm going to use my adhesive to do that. We are going to be tucking some of the add-ons like the trees and the mountains into these snowbanks. So make sure that you concentrate your adhesive on the bottom so we can make tucking a little bit easier. I'm just gonna level these out on the side and on the bottom so they match up. After you've lined it all up, I'm bringing the base back in and some dimensionals because now I'm gonna be giving my snowbanks some height. Again, we are going to be adding in some trees and mountains, so we just wanna concentrate our dimensionals now to the far corners. And we're going to add these dimensionals in our snowbanks to the very bottom of our base. Just like that. And you can see some nice dimension there. The next thing we're gonna do is start tucking these little pieces every which way. I always like to lay it out before I grab any type of adhesive. I just like to visually see what I'm doing. And then I like to pick it up towards the end after I visually lay everything out to adhere it. All right, that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to be adhering it with some liquid glue. This is the Precision Tip liquid glue applicator. You can find this in our craft room favorites. Our craft room favorites are just tools that help aid us when we're creating, and this is one of the best. It has a silicone tip to keep your glue from drying out, and it also has a needle tip, as you can see. I'll shake that down just a little bit and you can get really fine dots going from your glue, which is perfect for intricate dies. But in this instance, I just want to add a little bit to the bottom of each of these pieces so I can retuck them. Now, once that is done, we need to add our Yeti. I'm gonna visually see where I want my Yeti. I think I'm gonna put him right about there. And I'm gonna be using more dimensionals to do just that. What's important to note is that your Yeti's head is actually going to need all the dimensionals, where the lower half of the Yeti will need some glue because of the space difference between the dimensionals that we put on the snowbanks. So I'm just gonna concentrate those dimensionals towards the top half of the Yeti. You can see that I'm doing that just like that. And then I'm gonna come in with my liquid glue and concentrate some glue to the bottom of his feet and torso, so that he is nice and glued down when I set him on the base. And let's not forget the cute assembly of presents that we made. You can choose to either set these up on dimensionals or not. I'm going to, just to give it some extra dimension. And again, you're gonna wanna make sure that you see where's your assembly going to fall on the base of this Yeti. So I'm gonna actually concentrate my dimensionals towards the right-hand side of what's happening. I'm gonna flip that over, add a few dimensionals. I am a self-proclaimed dimensional queen because If I'm gonna be wasteful of one thing, it's adhesive and dimensionals, because I hate when my cards arrive to my receiver all messed up because I had to go through the mail meter. All right, there we go. So I'm gonna turn it to the sideways and you're gonna see all that really cool dimension that's happening here. And it looks really cool in person as well. Before we assemble the outside, let's assemble the inside. I have another piece of 4x4 basic white, and then I have a piece of specialty vellum that's gonna go right across the bottom. I'm adhering it with some adhesive and lining that up towards the bottom. Before the stream, I stamped winter wishes onto some basic white and layered it with some soft sea foam. What I'm gonna do now is bring in a mountain and one more of my trees, and I'm going to give this little greeting some oomph by adding these behind it. So first things first, we're gonna be using the same trick idea, and that's just a little bit of glue where your two images are going to overlap. And for this one in particular, it's going to be the base of the tree to the base of the mountain. Then I'm gonna need to adhere the images to the top half of my greeting. So I'm gonna do that with just a little bit of glue, ensuring that I concentrate mostly towards the bottom of the two images. And then I'm going to line that up. What's great about the multi-purpose liquid glue as well is that it dries clear. So any glue that oozes out literally dries clear, so any boo-boos that I make don't get seen by the recipient. Finally, I'm going to bring in my last set of dimensionals. I love to overlap dimensionals where I have images and other pieces intersecting. For instance, this mountain is intersecting with this piece of the soft sea foam, so I'm just overlapping those two. It kind of ensures that it's going to stick together. Again, with that mail meter, when I send it in the mail, I want my cards to look great when they're opened. And then I'm going to concentrate my little cluster to the right hand side, layering winter wishes with the middle of the basic white and where the vellum meet. So now we have some dimension there. Let's bring back in our base that we scored earlier. Remember, we only had 2 scoring marks, and I'm gonna make sure that my card opens this way. Yours doesn't have to open left to right. It can open top to bottom if you would like. But for this one, I'm opening it left to right. I'm gonna flip over the inside and I'm just going to add some adhesive. Again, I am an adhesive queen, self-proclaimed. I add so much adhesive. So that's what I'm doing here. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and line that up to the best of my abilities. Awesome. All right, now we have to add our beautiful front that we've already done, but there is a trick because this is a fun fold card. We made that diagonal section earlier. We're gonna want to concentrate all of our adhesive on this bottom diagonal section, which is, you know, a triangle. So let's go ahead and add some adhesive there. You can do adhesive, you can do liquid glue, whatever your heart desires. I left a little bit of a border from where I added my adhesive because I cut my base at 4 inches instead of 4 1/4. So I'm gonna have a nice border. Now, all you need to do is visually see, matching up these corners with the score lines, where the center is, and I'm gonna do my absolute best to make this as straight as possible. And then we're gonna press. I like opening it up and pressing from the inside. Just makes it a little bit more easier. All right, so this is where the magic of this card comes in. We're gonna open it up. It's gonna swivel and twist. It's gonna tuck under that piece, and it stands up perfectly. Excellent for the recipient. There's plenty of room for you on the inside to write a little bit. You can also add more to the back side. You can write here, or you can add another piece of basic white and write a little bit more on that side. Just depends on how much you say. All right, so that's that first card. Let me show you the few other samples that I have. My next card is using Fond of Autumn. As you can see, I used some Celebrate Everything Designer Series paper. I used the main image from Fond of Autumn, and then I added some dimension here, embossing the letters. This is the die set that comes with it, and some twine, and it swivels right up just like all the others, and it looks a little bit like this. I love this one. I think it gives a lot of fun and oomph and perfect for fall. Let me show you the last one. The last card is for all my masculine card friends who love and need ideas for masculine cards. This is using a Brood for You. I also used the Brood dies for this, and I added some embellishments here, and there's a lot of height as you can see, and when it swivels open, it tucks underneath the little hop that I made, just like so. All right, so these are the 3 of my samples. Let me know which card was your favorite tonight by leaving me a comment down below. We do come back and read every single comment that you put here, and we also reply to all of them. I would love to hear your feedback. In addition, don't forget to download that free project sheet in the video description below. Not only does it include my 3 samples that you just saw, it also includes my mom's 3 samples that you didn't get to see. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you download that because she is quite amazing and her samples are incredible. Don't forget to head over to lisastampstudio.com to check out our generous ordering rewards. We do love to spoil those who choose to order with us. In addition, while you're there, make sure you scroll all the way down to the bottom and click subscribe. My mom sends out a No Frills email every Thursday that includes a free PDF tutorial not seen on any of our other platforms. So you're gonna wanna make sure you check that out. Last but not least, our next live is going to be on Monday, September 5th. Yes, that is Labor Day here in the US, and my mom will be back live with you for another great fun fold. Thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight. I sure enjoyed my time, and we will see you next week.